os caras parecem com
Meu pau.
de bicho do Alien. Que entra dentro da pessoa,
Ah, tá.
bota o ovinho lá dentro.
Parece que meu pau não foi mal. Meu pau.
Hã?
Parece que meu pau.
Tomando cu.
Caralho. Esse cara é foda. Parece que o meu pau, filho. Que entra dentro da pessoa e faz um
buraco.
Um buraco.
Fazer um oco.
Vai deixar o oco. Caralho.
Oco.
Porra, eu tava vendo um vídeo aqui maneiro, velho.
Its founder, Daryl Gates. What isn't realistic though is this upcoming Easter egg, as if you happen to take to the VIP detail mission set at the Ventura Hotel and immediately head down the stairs, you're supposed to head through the door, but instead if you crap...
Easter egg?
É, pô. Tem um canal que é só disso.
Canal de easter egg.
É.
There are, of course, many different types of secrets and Easter eggs in video games, and in today's episode we're going to be taking a look at some of the wackiest, craziest and the most ridiculous hidden vehicles and modes of transport that our video game characters can utilise to get them from point A to point B, and that us can also use to our advantage and for our amusement. So you're watching Easter Egg Hunter. In IO Interactive's 2016 third-person shooter Hitman, it is upon the destination of Colorado where you can take on the Reptiles contract. But instead of carrying out the objectives, if you collect 10 apricots and pick up the hallucinogenic drugs from the tool shed and head up to the top floor of this house, there you can find Mr. Raptor, the toy dinosaur. For some bizarre reason, after feeding him 10 apricots, he will disappear. Next, head to the potting shed and pick up the quad bike keys and head to this exit where this will happen.
I got tons of respect for you guys.
Grand Theft Auto games are just full of weird secrets and Easter eggs. Some of them so obscure and hard to find it took years for fans to finally decipher them. Hell, some things still have fans scratching their heads, desperately trying to find the next clue that might not even exist. This is Rockstar we're talking about. They create worlds so detailed and realistic feeling that it's easy to think they could hide anything in there. Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on GameRanks, 6 Grand Theft Auto Easter eggs and secrets found years later. Starting
Porra, o cachorro abriu a porta, velho. Filha da puta.
off at number 6 in Grand Theft Auto 3, the Upstate region.
Essa cena
Grand Theft Auto 3 is a large section of the map known to fans as Upstate Liberty that's inaccessible through normal means. Really, it's just meant to be background scenery, you know, to make the world look like it extends beyond the boundaries of the playable portion of the game, just basically to make things feel more real. But we know gamers, if they see something in the distance they're not meant to go, they will find a way to go there. With some pretty careful use of and remember this is Grand Theft Auto 3, that plan wasn't designed to be far in the game. You can reach the boundaries of the map and fly through these hills. That was the hard part that took players a long time to pull off, and at this point, I wasn't able to find a definitive timeline of just when someone was able to get into the upstate area, but it took a while. Once you're here, the game becomes increasingly unstable. Freezing and crashing isn't just likely, it's pretty much certain as you go further.
Aqui essa voz tá boa, mas tá pouquinho baixinho em consideração do
Cedar
jogo.
Ridge Observatory, which you can get a better look at. These spots up on the map that seem to be named after different programmers who worked on the game. And the ghost section of the map used for the opening cutscene of the game. It's actually a pretty interesting area to look at because the level of detail is actually higher than the regular game world. This may be because of technical limitations, or maybe because the area was developed near the end of production. Either way, it's cool to compare some of the details in the ghost town to how Grand Theft Auto 3's map ended up looking.
Eu sempre achei que a... Caralho, vai tomar no cu. Pera aí, velho.
Caralho.
On Rockstar's website in 2012, they put out a statement regarding this area, basically admitting it was never meant to be found, but that they're impressed players managed to find a way to get there.
Achei a cutscene do GTA mais detalhada que o
Sure,
jogo.
you can use cheats and mods to get there
Cutscene.
now, but back in the day it was pretty much just using the
Eu achei a mesma bosta,
We're
né?
able to fly that thing for any length of time and find this stuff is pretty impressive. Like, I can barely get off the runway in that thing. And at number 5, in Grand Theft Auto 5, the Infinity Killer. This is a bit
Acho que é só se aumentar aqui, velho. Configuração de voz lá no Discord e aumentar o volume de saída.
It's the details that took a little bit longer to find. During the story of Grand Theft Auto 5,
Yeah.
you'll probably end up hearing an offhand mention or two
Pô,
of the serial killer from
peraí,
X-Men.
não aumentou o volume da sua voz.
Pretty obvious reference to the Zodiac killer, whose murder shocked the state and whose victims were never found. But you can find the bodies if you look hard enough. All 8 victims can be found in and around the small cluster of islands north of Mount Chiliad, all of them wrapped up in plastic or something along the sea floor. It'd be weird enough if the story stopped there, but random clues and information about the Infinity Killer can be found all over the place. There's a burned out house in sandy shores with weird scrawling on the remaining walls, stuff like 8 is just infinity stood up. And there will be 8. Look at some rocks near his home and you'll even find some more crazy man writing, this time a rhyme which seems to relate to the killer's 8 victims. Inside Boiling Brook Penitentiary, you will find even more clues, like this graffiti on the recreation yard that reads, "Where water meets land and fire meets
Acho que o mais engraçado.
infinite 8 shall lay until I return."
Já é perto que você explode.
Eventually found. Probably the most mysterious thing in these bloody footsteps near the billiards table and the 8 ball. You can even find some barrels and trash cans with the bloody look 8 on them. It's all pretty spooky, right? So is there any more to this than surprisingly detailed world building for players to discover out there on their own? Probably not, but as we've seen with this list, that hasn't stopped people from speculating anyway. And moving along to number 4, in Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, some secret cheats. These were only recently discovered in 2019. These cheats aren't actually from the original version of San Andreas. Rather, they're found in the mobile version of the game, which just so happens to be the same version used for Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 ports. The developer of this particular version, War Drum Studios, added in cheats like the ability to skip missions, get certain weapons, become invincible, which surprisingly wasn't a cheat in the PS2 version of the game, and other really powerful effects. They were mostly added for testing purposes, but the keyboard shortcuts still work, you know, as long as you've got a keyboard to connect to your mobile device. The cheats themselves aren't that interesting, but the fact that it took around 6 years for someone to discover them is pretty impressive, and that just goes to show the lasting appeal and fan interest of this amazing game. Moving on to number 3, Grand Theft Auto 5's Cryptozoologist. Here's another Grand Theft Auto...
Quer dizer, ô parceiro, eu não tô conseguindo monitorar nada. Ah não, é porque tá em inglês, velho. Foi mal, velho. Esqueci. É porque o vídeo tá em inglês, velho. Caralho.
Grand Theft Auto...
Ele tava falando de cheat, velho. Vou botar outra aqui agora que você vai entender.
If you crouch under the steps and use your lockpick on this wall, not only will you unlock a secret panel, but you will also reveal this secret passage.
Isso é de passagem secreta. Vamos ver se...
Next up, it's Monolith Productions' first-person shooter, Contract Just Another Contract Killer, which is also home to an Easter egg that can be easily missed. See, once you reach Chapter 5, Lunar Psycho, at one point you have to pass through the battery recharger room, and as long as you haven't got the in-game music blaring away, then you'll stand a better chance at hearing these weird sounds. Warning, the following video contains some major video game spoilers, as we take a look at some super secret levels in video games.
Enjoy.
Back in 1989, The Prince of Persia made its debut and helped to spawn 2 other titles throughout the 90s. It's a series that has seen our hero tackling warriors, rescuing princesses, and dying quite a lot as we try to overcome the deadly and unforgiving traps. Roll forward to 2003, where Ubisoft rebooted the series with The Sands of Time, which hid away a secret level that any hardcore fan would adore. As by inputting the following button combinations for Xbox, PS2 and PC up on the balcony at the very start of the game would initiate the very first stage from the original title. Where not only can you discover a secret sword, but you can also open up a special chamber where the entire development team are awaiting you.
Caralho, me matou, desgraçado.
When the RPG Shining Force 2 arrived in 1993 thanks to Sonic Software Planning, it followed the story of Bowie and a cast of allies that joined.
Eu vou jogar, vai tomar no cu. Não fode. Foda-se, deixa eu jogar essa porra pra lá. Caralho. Caralho, tomar no cu.
O cara xinga pra caralho, velho.
Quem?
Sim.
Você vai que eu vou te xingar, viado.
Verdade.
Vai tomar copyright, não?
Copyright. Copyright de quem?
Vou jogar esse Sonic aqui que eu baixei pirata, filho.
Sega.
Ai, tá alto pra caralho.
Qual é a história desse jogo aqui?
If you insist.
Whoa, that's harsh! You'll have to swing back around for it!
Predictable carrot. He must really love those things.
Whoa! What's that in the clouds? That must be the Lost Hex! Cool!
Less looking, more landing.
Alright, I can land it, but it's gonna be broken.
Engraçado é que o planeta tem looping, velho.
mais progressivo. Moura Brasil. As sessões diferentes dele. Automático, velho.
Take it easy there.
Oh, stay calm, little guy. Sonic and Tails will get your
we're on,
buddies
okay?
back.
Ô, caralho.
Sonic,
No, it'll be
did you
alright.
get those animals back from Eggman?
Just the one container he tossed off his eggmobile. Wait a minute, just the one? Huh, weak. I would have gotten them all back by now.
Save the rest of them.
Eita porra!
Ih, tomou um
Cara, essa aqui foi 9, hein?
show.
Que otário.
E pior que eu tenho que voltar tudo de novo.
Tá bom, pô. Me dá uma chapada.
Chega, vamos na outra fase, tá? É bônus mesmo, dane-se.
Transformation 101. Bunnies to badniks. Boom! Instant army. It needs to be a big army if I'm taking over the world below.
You are kawaii.
Essa webcam sua aí é do celular?
Yes, I am. I conquered you, didn't I? And with your help, I'll not only rule the world, I'll finally destroy that blue nuisance, Sonic.
Ó, headsetzinho do cara, headset pro
Was the
player.
little hedgehog destroyed?
Yeah, well, I feel like destroying son.
That's what I like about you, Zaz. Always ready for a fight, even before you know what you're fighting.
You bet. Bring it on and I'll rip it up.
Win or lose, I'll learn something about honor.
A porta abriu de novo. Maciro.
rectangle after all! Beat down, Tad! Stinking hedgehog! You were lucky this time!
Foda mesmo. Sai correndo, foda-se. Caralho.
Tô te falando, velho. Half-Life.
Caralho, mas uma atrás da outra. Chegar a hora do quê?
looking for you, Baldy McNosehair. Who are your friends?
Friends? These are nobody's friends. They are the Deadly Six, and they are your worst enemies. Jazz, show this blue pest how you do things up here.
With pleasure. I've been itching for a fight all day.
I think you're itching because you need a bath.
Are you disrespecting me?
Maybe.
I'm gonna mess you up!
I'd love to stay and watch him disassemble you, but I have business to attend to.
I know the perfect spot to take care of you.
That's funny, because I know the perfect spot to kick you.
Eita porra. Dando um chilique nervoso do cara aqui. Yes, that's good.
Agora tem que confusar esse cara aqui de novo, velho. Puta que pariu. Voltou. GG. Tá em qual parte do jogo aí, doidão? Hein?
Eu?
É.
Esse bichinho que soltam raio.
Ah, você tá jogando o 1, né?
É.
Ah, tá. Você estava jogando o 2. Mas é foda, filho.
Where's that little punk? I've been dreaming about pounding his sorry blue butt. I'm gonna take this
You threw it home in a box! I'm gonna skin you alive! I can't believe it!
Não, essa não.
Alright, we good to go or what, Tails?
I've built a TV out of paper clips.
Yeah.
And reprogrammed a supercomputer using dishwashing detergent and a toothpick.
I know.
So look, fixing a propeller on a biplane? That's about as difficult as taking a nap.
Okay, I didn't need your whole life story. A simple good to go would have been cool.
Alright. Good to go!
Cool!
Do deserto. É uma bosta.
These animals are quite underwhelming. I'm disappointed in you incompetent fools. Violently disappointed.
We don't care about your disappointment, Master.
Do you care now? Next time, bring better animals.
Cristo morreu? Cristo morreu, velho.
Oi, tô aqui, pô. Vai morrer. Ah, vai tomar no cu, velho.
You, fat one, go take care of that blue pest. Who are you calling fat? You! Now, if you hurry and destroy Sonic, I've got an even bigger sandwich. Oh boy! Devlin! Oh, help me.
Sanduíche do tamanho do meu Bilal, velho. Aí ele gosta.
Watching him run is making me hungry. I hope he gets here soon. Stop when you can add. After I tenderize him. Awfully quick! I know fast food's not good for you, but little taste never hurt it. He's gonna make me look bad! I mean worse! Is that even possible? Wow, you're barely a snap! Worst meal ever! Does this mean no dessert? Power levels green, Orbot.
Power level stable. Extractor activated.
the stuff! Feed me, baby! I'm feeling stronger by the second!
Levels fluctuating. Reaction unstable. Better shut it down quick, boss, or it will lock into overload.
Shut it down!
Wait to stop, boss! I felt great!
The machine is unstable. We just want to borrow some of the planet's energy. We don't want to destroy it.
Speak for yourself.
A gente só quer pegar um pouquinho de energia do planeta, a gente não quer destruir. Fale por você.
Cara, só vai terminou aqui. Olha que cachorro, hein? Ah, não, tá doido. Mas não sabe pra ver não. Não dá nada.
Ele tem uma que, na moral, ele fica só rodopiando, filho da puta. Tá fumando crack.
One word of helpful advice: diet and exercise.
That's 3 words!
Hey! Whoa!
I think I'll have you for dessert!
Don't talk with your mouth full.
Yeah, right! Hey! I forgot the mustard! Be right back!
Hey, where do you think you're going?
You look like a giant blueberry! Oh, Susie! I wonder if those spines will stick in my throat when I swallow them whole! You're small and fast, but I'll be big and slow! Hey, wait! You better not make fun of my size!
Oh yeah!
Gotta go! It's dinner time! I hone your abilities. I equip you with the most powerful mechs I can create. I even give you a giant sandwich. And you still disappoint me. I'm a compassionate man.
That shell looks like trouble.
Hold on a second. Sonic! I think that thing in Eggman's hand!
Eggman's shell is gone.
That was a mistake.
Whatever. When is it a mistake to take your toys away?
When it's the only thing keeping 6 angry Zeti from controlling my mechs, you moronic hedgehog!
Puta que pariu, tô lá no...
Make the blue pay for our abuse and enslavement. Shiver me timbers!
I hate to run away from a fight, Tails, but I don't want to see you get fried.
Not getting fried would be nice.
We are leaving!
Oh man, I should have listened to you, Tails.
Whoa, you think?
minha voz, na minha frente. Vocês estão ouvindo minha voz falando comigo.
Alas,
Porra, eu pulei a cutscene sem querer, velho. Do jogo que eu nunca tinha jogado na minha vida. Caralho, que
Ah. Como assim? É difícil. Agora que meu boneco travou aqui.
Fizeram Counter-Strike, velho.
It would seem the peaceful days of tending my garden will have to wait. While I take care of these matters, the rest of you cannot.
Please, Master Zick. This is not something you should trouble yourself with. It's beneath you.
Now, don't be concerned. It'll be good to stretch these old bones.
Engasgado, filho. Matou o cara ali, filho.
Caralho, outro
Teve uma
Ah, chegando mais cara. Foda, meu amigo. Quero fazer um chover de granada, falei. Não deu não, tá doido?
Wasted on the young. Speed cannot defeat wisdom, hedgehog. This little seed never had a chance to prove I'll see that. He enjoyed to cultivate his pain, make fertilizer out of it.
Ah, vai tomar no teu. Tá descendo a porta. Tem uma granada aqui. Ah, viado. Motherfucker.
lessons can only be learned at the end of a boot. It is time to teach you those lessons.
Pode?
Comprovado. Gay não, ele só dá porque por diversão. Zero morto. Conta aí, Chris. Zero morto.
I tested the blue one, and he's more powerful than I anticipated. He shows much potential.
Who cares about him? Now that I'm free, I want to squeeze Eggman till he pops!
And eat him, I suppose.
Well, yeah.
There are better ways to make him suffer.
But more delicious?
What would you say if I told you we could destroy Eggman's world and use its energy to make ourselves unbelievably powerful?
Well, I would say that I had taught you well.
Yes, you have. And it will be Eggman's own creation that causes his destruction.
Easy.
Sonic, something bad's happening.
Whoa, what's going on?
I don't know. It's like something in the sky is draining the life out of the world. Plants, animals, even the air feels cold and dead.
Okay, you guys stay safe down there. I'll try to figure out what's going on and stop it.
Nossa, que maldade. Que plano maldoso. Nossa. Tô até com medo desse filho da puta.
Não.
Tá ligado?
Um lugarzinho que parece um labirinto.
Pô, eu acho que o 2 acho que é melhor que o 1, velho. Mas isso é óbvio. Isso é óbvio, né não?
O 2?
Botar aqui o bagulho Black Mesa. Black Mesa é foda, velho. Remake, velho. Eu ia comprar, só que não tá completo, aí não vale a pena.
Eu tive que passar por ali, mas porra. Por que eu vou passar essa desgraça aqui? Ah, é só tirar. Tomar.
Good morning. Coisa linda.
Tá mostrando aí na live?
Deve aí, olha isso aí, velho. Coisa linda, velho.
Quem fez esse remake?
Ah, sei lá, velho. Tá até bonitinho. Bonito, velho. Olha isso, olha a velocidade que ele sobe a escada.
Maravilha.
Só que não tem a versão completa dele ainda.
Chemical detected.
This is my hiding spot.
Onde você tá, ô doidão?
Onde eu tô?
É, você tá parado aí aqui, pô.
Eu tô matando os bichinhos aqui.
Tá nada, tem certeza?
Caralho, que porra é essa?
Caralho, nada a ver, mano. Caralho, que porra é essa? Será que esse aqui é o final do jogo? Eu tô vendo spoiler, velho. É muito doido, velho. Calma aí, velho. Vou botar um vídeo legal aqui.
I died in the cutscene! What the fuck was that?
I lost the
What? Fucking monster! You get up every
Hoje eu tava vendo um vídeo do cara fazendo speedrun, né, de Mario.
Hello and
aí
welcome.
Ele falou assim: Pô, pra fazer speedrun você tem que ter confiança, velho. Aí você não morre no speedrun. Aí ele acabou, foi e caiu na lava.
Welcome to a new video of Fails in Speedrunning, episode 162. We remind you that all the streamers that you will see on this video have agreed to appear in it. So, take a seat and enjoy the video.
Oh, meu cu, viu?
Acho que é BR.
Really nice way to fail. Really nice. I like this.
Speedrun de American Dad.
The sun in the sky has a smile on his face, and he's shining a salute to the American race.
No, dude. Come on.
Good morning. Isso aí é nada a ver, meu irmão.
Motherfucker! Come on!
O chefe, velho. Caralho, eu tô mais foda.
Oh my god, you fucker!
De novo.
Worst goddamn pattern!
I used to be really bad at opening that door because I assumed it was a little bit. Oh no. I was supposed to hit the light switch there, not open the door.
Fucking A!
Caralho, parece até o Victor Cruz fazendo speedrun, velho.
Fucking die, you bastard. Oh, god damn it. You gotta be fucking kidding me.
Morreu o restart.
I knew it.
GTA Vice City. Caralho.
No! Fuck you! Fucking chubbing piece of shit! Fuck! I have no ammo! I can't fucking do this anymore. When I have no fucking ammo. It's bullshit!
Cara, é muito doido, velho.
Jumper motherfucker!
Alright, this rock throw, I'm just gonna nail it right now. Not even gonna think about it. Oh shit. Shit. Okay. One more try. Okay, one more try. Fuck. Okay, I gotta reset.
Ah, não.
Motherfucker.
Que eu... Não acredito. Aperta.
Eu apertei o...
BR.
Eu apertei o botão de desligar. Que droga, cara.
Let's get a nice death kill on and we'll be good. A little bit of frame stutter there because I didn't bat right away like I was supposed to, but... 1, 2, 3... 1, 2, 3, 4... Ah, fuck. I got killed.
Eu já tô zerando, velho. Tô numa parte que é cheia de troço verde radioativo.
Não, tá longe, pô, tá maluco. Half-Life demora muito a zerar, velho. Cadê? Onde tá seu bagulho? Ah não, espera aí, vamos fazer uma pequena pesquisa. Vamos ver quanto.
Será que eu já tô zerando, velho?
É episódio essa porra aí, ou
tô numa parte que é cheio de...
É episódio?
Troço verde radioativo.
Ah não, é por fase, é segmento direto, né?
Uhum.
Nossa, velho, tá dizendo que é 13 horas pra zerar, então você não tá nem um pouco perto. Ouviu? 13 horas.
Caralho.
Segura essa. Puta que pariu. 13 horas é foda.
I died in the cutscene! What the fuck was that?
Eita porra!
What? This video, have a great opinion in it.
Tentáculo gigante.
And enjoy the video.
No. Hi, freaking idiot. It's like a million of that wombo combos. Are you serious? Dude!
O cara se fudendo no Resident Evil.
Are you serious?
If I'm not saving like 4 minutes by the end of Badlands, it's terrible Badlands. Que dizer?
Que foi isso, velho?
Oh, Dracula X.
Hello friends, my name is Dante and welcome back to yet another gaming video. And that's right, we're going back to one of my favorite games of all time, Resident Evil 2. If any of you have played the new Resident Evil 2 remake, you'll know that it has 3 difficulty levels: Assisted, Normal, and Hardcore. Now, back when I was first trying my hand at Hardcore mode, I noticed the zombies took a lot of ammo to kill, and I was just having an all-around difficult time. So, I decided to have a little peek online to see different people's advice on this difficulty setting. What I noticed was that almost every person giving their opinion on the best way to survive hardcore mode said it was best to run past most enemies and conserve as much ammo as possible, because they all agreed that you didn't get enough ammo throughout the run. But you know me, I like to go against everyone's expectations. You tell me I can't beat this game without killing enemies. You tell me I can't beat this game without pressing the run button.
Ah, sabia, tomando no cu.
If you want to see both of those videos, I'll put them right here. So yes, today I answer the question, can you kill every enemy on hardcore mode in Resident Evil 2? There's a few things I have to mention before we really get down and dirty into this video. What I'll be going throughout...
Vendo se dá pra, no modo mais difícil do Resident Evil 2, o remake, se é possível matar todo mundo, todos os inimigos.
Ah, ruim.
This video are what I did for the boss fights, how I handled the jail cell zombies as Leon. Spoiler, this is the coolest part of the video. Doing Ada's part with barely any ammo. The goddamn bullet drain G's. and how I handled windows in the RPD. First of all, what counts as all enemies? Well, what I define as all enemies is any enemy that can attack you throughout the game. What does that mean? That means every window zombie, every dog, every G in the sewers, every licker, everything. Not only am I killing every enemy in my way, I'm killing every enemy that you wouldn't normally need to kill. Normally, you'd board up the windows and not have to deal with the zombies. Normally, you could just walk past all lickers and be a safe little boy. Nope, not in this run. I kill everything in every room, so I created a few rules for myself. Rule number 1, no boards allowed. Rule number 2, I have to go back through all areas and thoroughly search through each of them to make sure I didn't miss a single enemy. Rule number 3, I have to knife every enemy on the ground, whether zombie, licker, or dog, to make sure that they are absolutely 100% dead. And rule number 4, nobody talks about Fight Club. Okay, the rules are out there, bada bing bada boom. So next, let's talk about these windows and how they work. Yes, that's right, I'm talking about windows. Shut up, man. This is high quality content and we're gonna talk about windows if I want to. So, you may have noticed throughout your playthroughs that zombies endlessly spawn through the windows in the RPD. And that's why the best and most obvious solution is to board them up permanently. What if I told you that these windows don't actually infinitely spawn zombies? How the windows actually work is that they have a set number of spawns. So let's take a window in the east hallway for example. When you first go by the window, some random girl busts through. The second time you go by, an Asian guy busts through. Then it goes on and on, either 3 or 4 or 5 times, eventually ending with a lady zombie. For the sake of simplicity, let's say this window has 3 spawns because I forget how many it actually has. Now here's the interesting part. Let's say I run by the first time and don't kill the random bro. Next time I come through the hallway, the random bro will have despawned and I'll never see him again. So this window now has 2 spawns left. So that's essentially what I did. I waited until each window's final spawn before I killed the window zombie. Or sometimes the window would only have 1 spawn in the first place. Like the window by the interrogation room, in which case I'd just kill the zombie right away. You might be thinking, well what the heck Dante, you said you're gonna kill every zombie. See, the problem with that is that I didn't have enough ammo for these zombies, yet. I need to be able to get everything I can in the sewers so that I can return to the RPD like the Terminator and destroy all zombies. And don't get me wrong, I definitely do kill the window zombies, I just don't kill every spawn of the window zombies. Which, if you think about it, I shouldn't have to anyway. It's enough that I have to kill half a dozen window zombies in the first place, so cut me some slack guys, come on. Another thing I'll mention is that I chose Leon over Claire, because I feel like Leon's weapons are better. Apparently nobody agrees with me on this, literally nobody. Everyone else Claire's weapons better. So I guess I'll just from this Leon corner. Okay, so starting off in the gas station, we immediately fail the challenge. Oh, hit the brakes. What did I just say? You heard me right. You get 10 bullets whether you're Leon or Claire in the beginning. On hardcore mode, the very first zombie has 9 headshots to complete no matter what. I played this part multiple times and it's always the same, 9 bullets. So, let's do some simple math. 10 minus 9 equals 1. And let's be really clear here. The first zombie will never give you a critical shot. What's a critical shot? You know how sometimes a zombie will take 12 shots to kill, and other times they'll just take 1 shot and their heads explode? That's a critical shot, where their heads explode, and then they're permanently dead. Yeah, this first zombie will never give you a critical, and you're forced to always use 9 bullets on him. And guess what? There's not just 1 zombie in the gas station. There's not just 2, or 3, or 4 zombies. There's 5 zombies in this one little gas station in the middle of nowhere. So let me ask you a question. How do you divide up 1 bullet between 4 zombies? The simple answer is, you can't. And there's nothing that can be done about this. Even with infinite weapons, you can't do anything about it because the infinite weapons are found in the chests, and you don't get your first chest until you reach the RPD. And let's say you do end up finding a way.
Não prestei atenção. Tá dando pra entender o vídeo aí, parceirão? Porque, né, tá em inglês.
Question. How do you divide up 1 bullet between 4 zombies? The simple answer is, you can't. And there's nothing that can be done about this. Even with infinite weapons, you can't do anything about it because the infinite weapons are found in the chests, and you don't get your first
Cara,
death
essa
until
fase
you reach
foi
the
feita pra te
RPD.
matar, velho.
And let's say you do end up finding a way to kill all of the zombies in the gas station. What about the
Não
dozens
é que
who
faz
are
Dark
around
Souls
saying
1 de
it's
Monsoul.
impossible? The Resident Evil gods aren't on my side today, boys. I mean, I feel like these zombies technically don't count because I literally can't do anything about them. But again, if you want to say I failed the challenge...
Tá dando rage ali ao vivo, tá ouvindo? Sim, esse vídeo aqui é o cara vendo se dá pra matar todos os zumbis no modo mais difícil do Resident Evil 2.
Challenge, go right ahead. Break my heart. Just do it. And let's not forget about the invincible zombies on the other side of the RPD gate. Even with the infinite minigun and rocket launcher, they can't be killed. The gods really aren't on my side. So, the most important aspect of this run, hands down, are critical shots. Getting a critical shot on a zombie can save you up to 12 bullets, so clearly the more of them I can get, the better. Now, I didn't replay an area 10 times trying to get as many critical shots as possible. I only ran through the game once. I just happened to get lucky with a good amount of criticals. I do want to mention that I missed a couple of bullets as well, but I just kept chugging along. Yes, even us gods don't have perfect aim. Everything is pretty self-explanatory up until the first Birkin fight. Any pro at this game knows the best way to take on Birkin here is to kill him with 2 knives. It's easy to do this, with practice of course, and you don't have to waste a single bullet on him, which is extremely important for this challenge. Without knifing him here, I don't think I could complete this challenge. So that's what I did. If you want to see how I do it, you can watch it in my knife only run here. So next is the RPD basement. Dogs are really easy. I just killed the ones in the little doggy cages with my handgun and the rest with my shotgun. And now, the moment you've all been waiting for. The jail cell. Is it even possible to kill all of the zombies that pour out of the jail cells? Does the tyrant make this part impossible? The answer might surprise you. I did kill 2 zombies beforehand to make this easier on myself. The one lying down on the floor and the one in the cell closest to you by the power panel. I did try killing every zombie in the cell first, which was really good because they instantly died with 1 bullet to the head. But this didn't do anything. Upon opening the cells, the zombies still poured out. My strategy for this part was to bring a couple of grenades with me, and that hopefully, before the tyrant could reach me, I could finish off the 1 or 2 that survived the blast. Unfortunately, I had a lot more problems than this. Now, first of all, there's one good...
Esse vídeo aqui que eu tô vendo, o cara tá tentando ver, tá fazendo um teste pra ver se ele consegue matar todos os inimigos do jogo no modo mais difícil do Resident Evil 2 Remake. E Cleison tá ali jogando Half-Life 1 enquanto eu tô aqui vivendo a vida bandida, filho.
Good thing here. The tyrant won't actually come for you unless you get far down the zombie hallway or go through the side door that you'd normally use to escape. So the tyrant wasn't a big problem here. And as for the zombies, I used 2 grenades to get most of them and finished off the rest with my handgun. When I thought it was clear, I'd open the side door, get the tyrant's attention down the zombie hallway, hello, circle around, and here was another problem. Even though I killed every jail cell zombie, when I circle around with the tyrant, the 2 zombies who originally ambushed you are still there. What the frick, man? So I had to implement Plan B. First, we grab Ben's pass, go to the hallway, kill the zombies, sorry.
Esse jogo no normal que umas 4 vezes, não matei todos.
Use a flash grenade, then grab Ada, go to Kendo's gun shop, have a nice cold pint and wait for all this to blow over. How's that for a slice of fried gold? So that's exactly what I did. I just used a flash grenade on the final 2 zombies, which luckily blinded the tyrant, allowing me to finish them off with my shotgun. Then I passed through the cells 3 more times with the tyrant chasing me to make sure I didn't miss anyone, and we were good to go. Next comes Ada's part. At first, I thought this part would be next to impossible because of the small amount of ammo you get as Ada, and that I'd have to play it a couple of times to figure it out. But luckily, I succeeded on my 2nd try, and it's all thanks to criticals, baby. Almost every zombie I killed died to a critical shot, so I actually got out of there with ammo to spare. Then of course, we have the G's. These big boys take a lot of ammo, and there's 6 of them if I'm not mistaken. I mean, there's not a lot to say about them, other than they take a lot of shots and that they're a pain in my ass. And we get to the 2nd Birkin battle. The obvious answer is to use only the crane to beat him, and that's exactly what I did. Because the game is on hardcore difficulty, he takes 3 strikes and he's out. Luckily for me, on my knife only challenge, I mastered this part. It took me hours and hours of playing the same boss fight over and over again, but it built that muscle memory into me so well that I beat this part on my first try without a single bullet shot. And lucky me, every boss battle comes with a huge amount of free ammo and resources. So I grabbed Ada, and rather than go straight to the lab, it was time to go back to the RPD and finish off the rest of the enemies. I think I made Ada wait in that car for like an hour or something. Anyway, I had to find a way to strategically kill all enemies in the RPD. Hello friends, my name is...
Você pode zerar o Resident Evil 4 só com a mina explosiva? Pode. Confirmado, pode. Você pode zerar The Last of Us sem armas?
Só no soco dá, pô.
Dá, não dá?
Dá, eu já vi nego zerando já.
É sinistro, velho. Os caras é de outro mundo. Aí, Resident Evil HD, Projeto HD, todas as cutscenes de morte. Velho, a minha playlist do YouTube é muito boa, velho. Totalmente random.
Dante, and today, I had to let go of my boy, my best friend, the big daddy who coddled me and raised me to be the man I am today, the merchant. He always had the RPD with the least amount of ammo possible. I hadn't even touched the East Wing yet, so that's where I started. The best approach I could think of was getting a bunch of zombies to chase me in a group and to throw a grenade or two at them, similar to the jail cell situation. So after a couple of failed attempts, I finally did a decent job at this, finished up the East Wing, and I was off to the West Wing. The West Wing is fun because not only do you have the most horrible hallway in the game, you also have a bunch of lickers that want to do things to you. I used my shotgun on all of the lickers, and for any room with 2 lickers, I'd shoot one, run to the nearest exit, wait a second, come back through, and rinse and repeat. Eventually I'd put enough bullets into a licker that it would die. Oh yeah, and I almost forgot, it's better to come back to the RPD at this time anyway, so the tyrant isn't stalking you. And remember what I said about the windows? At this point the windows were either on their last spawn, or the windows on...
Bem lembrado. Porra, não fala não.
Zombies were roaming through the hallways, so those weren't much of a problem for me anymore. After so much death and so much killing, I finally did it. Every living or dead creature was now dead, and I don't just mean dead, I mean dead. I double-checked every single room in the entire RPD, ran along and hung out next to every window, and knifed everything I came across, whether that was a zombie, a licker, or a dog. I lost a couple of knives doing this, but you get plenty of them throughout the run, so I wasn't too nervous.
Oi, vamos jogar uma partida de Heavy Metal Machines? É jogo gratuito online.
I did the same thing in the sewers, passing through each area to double check everything. It's good I did this because there were actually a couple of sewer zombies that rise from the water. Nothing a shotgun couldn't handle. So, after all of that, it was finally safe to go to the lab. Now, here's the biggest reason why I chose Leon over Claire. He gets a sweet freaking flamethrower, while Claire only gets a puny little grenade launcher. Which wouldn't be that bad, but the ammo consumption makes Leon the clear winner for me. See, with Leon, all you have to do is tap the flame button a little bit to set the IVs on fire when they're down. On average, I could kill 2 IVs with 100 flamethrower ammo. Considering how much ammo you get for the flamethrower, this is extremely effective. Meanwhile, the only weapon Claire can use against the IVs to permanently kill them is the grenade launcher with flame rounds. And you get a very limited amount of these flame rounds throughout Claire's campaign. Not only this, but flame rounds are also best used against lickers, so I might have used a lot of the rounds up by now. Not only this, but most IVs take about 2 flame rounds to permanently kill. Sometimes they take 1 flame round, and other times they take 3 for me, but in general, so yeah, I'm not sure if Claire could even do this challenge. But enough about her, let's get more into Leon. Okay, I killed all of the zombies in the first area, killed all of the enemies in the second area, which, by the way, took up so much ammo, got the chip, and finished off the rest of the IVs. Yes, I know that when you spray the chemicals, the old IVs spawn. Don't worry, I killed them before spraying the solution. The tyrant made it tricky to knife all of the enemies in this portion of the lab to make sure they were dead, but it was still doable. Oh yeah, and there's a zombie girl in the freezer room who only wakes up if you knife her. Don't worry guys, I'm telling you, I checked everything. Now, at this point, I had a good amount of supplies. Not a lot, but definitely enough to finish the game. And even if I didn't, I still had enough knives to take on G3 Birkin if I had to. The nice thing about the Super Tyrant is that if you wait 3 minutes, or something like that, Ada will still throw down the rocket launcher to you, even if you did no damage to the tyrant. I've never personally tried this, but it's something you can try for yourself if you want. Bada bang bada boom, I beat G3 Birkin, collected the beautiful supplies from the area, burned all of the Ivies alive, almost got squished by the tyrant, killed this one zombie while the tyrant was chasing me. Again guys, I covered all bases, and finally made it to the final boss battle. At this point, I had an overwhelming amount of ammo. This is something I noticed throughout the gameplay. I'd slowly run down my supplies and be nervous that I wouldn't have enough to kill every enemy. Then I'd have a boss battle, get all of my supplies back, and I'd be a happy camper again. Alright, after many tries of fighting the tyrant, I eventually got my hands on that sweet rocket launcher and put an end to his miserable life. And yep, I used the launcher on the final few zombies and checked them with my gun to make sure they were done for. I wish this game had an enemy death counter at the end of it like some games, but unfortunately it doesn't. But I've never lied to you guys, and I always point out the little flaws in my challenges, like, you know, the gas station in Raccoon City for instance. If I fail a challenge, I never have a problem telling you guys. So here's my conclusion. I feel like the only reason this was possible was because 1, I've beaten this game over a dozen times, so I know how everything works, where everything is, certain enemies' weaknesses, and so on. 2, I beat 2 boss battles without using a single bullet, which if I didn't...
Ué, pera aí, eu liguei a força. Isso aqui é o que? Oxigênio, gasolina, combustível. Que merda dessa porra é essa?
Esse canal é bom, velho. Game Theory, acessem esse canal. Mercante de graça, filho. Deixa eu ver um vídeo maneirinho aqui. Mó tempão que eu não vejo esse canal, velho. Poderia realmente ter João.
A portion of today's episode is brought to you by the Google Pixel 3. Miles Tails Prower is supposed to be an unmatched engineering genius. The guy has an eye...
Vai no Pad, depois a gente... Esse é o próximo então. Eu não entendo nada desse jogo. A gente assiste.
IQ of 300, he's a skilled mechanic and apparently has...
I've built a TV out of paper.
Yeah.
And reprogrammed super...
Gera... Cada vídeo que você vê dele gera 300 de QI, filho.
Computer using dishwashing
Basically, he can do anything. Well, anything except fly.
Bro, mayday!
That was embarrassing. At least he's got his tails. Or does he?
Essa é muito
Hello, Internet! Welcome to Game Theory, where today we're rolling around at the speed of a relatively slow tractor trailer. 3 months ago, I said I wouldn't be doing another Sonic physics video until 20 million subscribers, but man, with everyone talking about that new real-life Sonic movie, and how could they not be? I mean, look at those legs. Like, really, look at them. Ugh. Anyway, I figured now was the perfect time to explore other ways that reality is gonna ruin this franchise, meaning that I'm...
É uma teoria que o texto não tem rabo e sim uma máquina de rabo que faz voar, ô porra.
Que isso, cara?
Tipo assim, já viu esse vídeo? É tipo
Hã?
assim, não, o cara ali nos comentários. É porque, tipo assim, esse vídeo aqui é pra explicar se com aquelas duas caudas que ele tem realmente ele conseguiria voar. Eu acho que não, né?
turning my theorist magnifying glass onto Tails. But what did poor Tails ever do to you, Pat? Said someone who has a lot of emotional attachment to a video game character, and to that I say, he's actually had this coming for a long time. Ever since I learned how to do helicopter physics calculations back during the Chun-Li episode, I've had Tails in my theoretical crosshairs to see if his tails actually have the lift power the game says they do, or if he would crash and burn under the power of real-world physics. Tails is unquestionably everyone's favorite anthropomorphic fox, who uses his tails to form a single rotor system, spinning fast enough to hover off the ground, propel himself forward at some pretty incredible speeds, and even go fast enough to keep up with Sonic, which, according to my old math, isn't that hard because he's slow, but if you're following his cannon top speed, that's over Mach 1, so pretty darn fast. Now, because we like Tails so much, we need to grant him a little bit of leniency here right off the bat. Having two tails, but presumably no actual rotor mechanism, you know, in that tushy region of his, Tails' tails would actually just become tangled if you tried to spin him all the time. But to write off his powers in that way is just no fun. So we're gonna assume that he has some magic butt pivot going on in his foxy hindquarters to make it happen. We're also gonna assume that the planet Mobius isn't dealing with any intense wind speeds and that basically he's functioning in our own atmosphere, otherwise we would just have nothing to base our calculations on. So with those ground rules set, we'll be busting out our calculators and comparing what we know about Tails to real helicopter aerodynamics to see if he truly has what it takes to take off. To find out if anything will lift off the ground, we need to know how much it weighs, so we know how much gravity we're going to be fighting against. According to Sega, Tails has a cannon weight, yeah, you could learn a thing or two, Nintendo, of 20 kilograms, which is one enormous fox, by the way.
O Tails pesa 20 quilos, velho. Caralho. Que raposa pesada.
Foxes usually top out at about 14 kilograms or about 30 pounds, whereas Tails are 20 kilograms or over 44 pounds, the weight of an average 6-year-old. So already Tails' chunky frame ain't gonna be helping out his liftoff because Tails would have to generate 196.2 newtons of force to enter a stable hover. The next important factor is the length and width of each tail. And when you detach and measure the size of his fully extended tail against his body, we can see that each tail is equivalent to his cannon height of 0.8 meters. We can also measure that the width is 0.26 meters, but these measurements aren't the same for all Sonic games. Because of course they're not. The math is never that easy. So here again we have a measurement for classic Tails and another one for modern Tails, where original Tails' tails extend to the ends of his body, and modern Tails' tails extend past his body, giving him a larger propeller length and thereby making it easier to generate lift. Not looking so bad for the little guy. And by little guy, I actually mean enormous guy. Remember, he is larger than even the largest of foxes. So with that now doubling all the calculations that we need to do, all you Sonic apologists in the comments, don't say I never did anything for you. Now on to the fun part, turning Tails into a helicopter. Helicopter physics is really complicated, so we reached out to some engineers from Duke University to help us out with the math and the equations for this episode. So if you remember our work with the Chun-Li skull-crushing kick, we started talking about helicopter physics there, and we'll be able to use those same principles as a jumping off point for this theory. Helicopter physics is based on the idea of lift, which is essentially the force needed to overcome gravity and get something off the ground. Thanks to Newton's third law, planes can lift off the ground when the force upward underneath the wings becomes greater than gravity. But helicopters work a little bit differently. Because they don't glide through the air, they rotate. So we can start off with the equation for lift, which you can see here. Lift equals 1/2 times rho times v squared times the coefficient of lift times the area of the wing. But we actually need to change a couple things here. You know when you do anything with a circle, all of a sudden you have to calculate everything in terms of pi and the radius? Well, it's the same deal here because helicopter blades move in a circle to generate lift.
Peraí, que o Discord está nessa tela aqui, essa porcaria.
So when we're working with this equation, we're going to end up solving for v, the velocity of the blade spinning, but v is actually going to be something called angular velocity. I'm going to make a judgment call here and save you the headache of walking through some of the behind the scenes math here, because I'm assuming that people who clicked on a video about learning if Tails could fly are probably not super invested in deriving an equation for radians. But if you are one of those people and you are interested in the details, well, I have a link to this type of math down in the description that you are more than welcome to check out. Look at me, citing my sources. Truly, I am a changed man. Actually, that's not true. My sources technically were Duke University mathematicians that I could talk about this in real time, but here is a source that you can use that vaguely approximates some of the conversations that I had with them. So we can now use our equation for lift and plug in all the stuff we know, which is surprisingly a lot. The lift equals Tails' weight. Remember, that is the force that we need to overcome, which is just his mass times gravity, or 20 kilograms times gravity at 9.81 meters per second squared. The area of the wing in meters we just replaced with the area of his tails in meters. And this is specifically referring to the actual area of his tail, not the circles that they create when they're spinning in air, which in our case is 0.208 meters squared in classic Sonic and 0.416 meters squared in modern Sonic. And rho is the density of air at sea level, which is a constant 1.225. It's actually surprisingly simple. You always see these things in equations. And you're like, oh, that's a really intimidating Greek letter. How am I ever gonna solve for that one? But 9 times out of 10, it's just like, look it up online and just plug it in. The only thing we don't officially know is the coefficient of lift, which is extraordinarily difficult to calculate when you're dealing with things that shouldn't technically be used to fly. So I'm just gonna give it a similar estimate to what we did with our Chun-Li calculations, 0.2. Just for reference, that's a very low coefficient because, to be fair, a live fox, similar to a pair of female legs, would not make for an efficient or aerodynamic helicopter. From this point, we can just plug and chug our way through this equation, and we get ourselves an answer in the form of radians, which, again, circles. Luckily, radians can be easily converted to miles per hour, which tells us how fast the tails need to spin to get Tails to hover off the ground, which is 337 miles per hour for classic Tails and 240.5 miles per hour for modern Tails. Oh boy, that is one fast fox. Or at least his butt is fast. Anyway, it's surprisingly typical for a fox-sized helicopter. Our rotating tail speeds equate to 1,343.4 revolutions per minute, 1,000 revolutions per minute for modern tails, and 3,630 revolutions per minute for classic tails, which actually matches with drones that fly using very similar rotor mechanisms like mini helicopters. Big helicopters with massive blades might have a typical RPM of 400 revolutions per minute, but the smaller the blades, the faster you have to spin those blades to fly. Which is why heavy lift drones, similar to the weight of tails, actually have a RPM of 1,000 or more, just like our foxy little friend here. This one, for instance, goes up to 6,300 rotations per minute. So yeah, biologically speaking, a fox with 2 tails that are permanently attached to his butt with no rotor system trying to make 1,343 revolutions per minute of those tails, it ain't gonna happen. It is physically impossible. But if you assume that Tails does function like a helicopter, and you compare him to other similarly sized helicopters, the math makes perfect sense. His calculations aren't totally ludicrous. I can't believe it. First, Sonic doesn't have arthritis from running so hard so fast, and now Tails can actually fly? It's like some sort of Sega curse on my theories. Must be retribution for calling Sonic slow or something. No, there's gotta be something here. There's gotta be something that... not so fast. Take a look at this picture of Tails, and now take a look at this picture of an actual helicopter. You notice something off? Yeah, outside of the fact that one is a precision piece of flying technology and the other is an anthropomorphic fox who does not really exist. The thing to notice here is that helicopters have 2 rotors. They've got that big one on the top like Tails, sure, but most of them also have these other ones in the tail. And it turns out that's not just like a glamour rotor that's just there for decoration. The reason for that small rotor tail, or other secondary rotors that you see on helicopters, goes back to the most fundamental physics out there. Newton's third law tells us that for every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. Helicopters are no exception. If you have helicopter blades spinning in one direction, that means the helicopter underneath is spinning circles in the opposite direction. So when he actually got up in the air, Tails' tails would be spinning in one direction exactly as fast as his body would have to be spinning in the other. Single rotor helicopters avoid this problem in the real world with tail rotors, these small blades on the tail that spin in the opposing direction to the top blade, specifically to counteract the forces that are making the helicopter want to spin itself into oblivion. Without those tail rotors, the helicopter is completely unflyable. It just becomes the world's most intense egg beater ride ever. In fact, all functioning helicopters have to have 2 rotors somewhere on them specifically because of this problem. Even drones have an even number of rotors on them that are spinning in opposite directions for greater greater control and stability. Without any sort of counter rotor system to keep him steady, Tails isn't just not going to be able to keep up with Sonic, he is spinning completely out of control. So in the most ironic twist of this whole theory, it looks like the thing Tails is missing is, you got it, yet another set of tails. Oh sure, all the math proves that he could absolutely fly, or at least make it off the ground in a basic hovery sort of way, but once he was up in the air, he'd have no control over his directionality because the thing that gives helicopters their ability to actually go anywhere isn't the blades on top, it's the blades in the tail. If Tails could design himself a tail rotor assembly to wear while he flew, like say on his foot or something, he could technically have a chance. But as he's currently biologically structured now, Tails, just like every other fox, is grounded. Done in by physics yet again. But hey, that's just a theory. A game theory. Thanks for watching. Sure, the math may not have added up for our two-tailed friend, but you know what it does add up for? Our sponsor for this part of today's
Hey Wiz, you know what time it is?
Era playlist, caralho. Ben 10 versus Lanterna Verde, velho. Que porra é essa? Quem ganha? Ryu versus Jin, esse eu vi, esse é maneiro. Naruto versus Ichigo. Paçoca. Tem que ser um personagem que vocês dois conhecem. Aí, ó, Goku vs Superman 2. Esse vai ter.
Goku. Superman. Titans of...
É, arrebenta o like e deu trabalho pra fazer.
of power, champions of unimaginable might, endlessly requested to fight each other. Again, he's Wiz and I'm Boomstick. And it's our job to analyze their weapons, armor, and skills to find out who would win a death battle.
Aquela ideia do Ei Nerd de fazer batalha mortal veio daí, ó. Isso aí é o raiz. O verdadeiro, filho. Também. Vai, Goku.
Created by Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster, Superman entered the world on the cover of Action Comics #1 in 1938. He was the first, and his success paved the way for the superhero genre. The Man of Steel is righteous, courageous, selfless, a perfect Boy Scout.
Very inspirational, but man, does it get boring sometimes.
Siegel and Shuster were the sons of Jewish American immigrants, and knew firsthand what it was like living in a world where they felt alien. Thus, this became the basis of Superman's story.
You know how it goes. His scientist dad found out his homeworld Krypton was getting a bit too explosive and sent his son off to Earth to save him. On Earth, Superman's Kryptonian cells can absorb solar radiation from the yellow sun, giving him awesome strength, speed, durability, flight, and the power to shoot heat from his eyes, which can be large enough to vaporize a planet or precise enough to perform lobotomies.
Superman was so powerful he could carry entire solar systems on his back, or obliterate them with a sneeze. But over 75 years, Superman has changed quite a bit. including going through 2 separate reboots, which we will be focusing on today. These reboots lessened his insane power, not exactly by altering his abilities, but by changing his outlook. Upon discovering his alien powers, the new Superman rejected them, unintentionally instilling mental barriers on his powers, which he would work to unlock through the rest of his life.
Sorta like when you drink too much and don't remember the night before, so you gotta spend all day figuring out how you got yourself a dozen kangaroos and married a lamp. Don't ask.
And then, in 1996, the world changed. Dragon Ball Z came to America.
Dragon, rock the Dragon Ball Z!
12 years prior, a mangaka, or author of Japanese comics, named Akira Toriyama introduced Dragon Ball, the story of Son Goku and his quest to become the greatest martial artist in the world, nay, the universe.
Like Superman, Goku was also sent to Earth from a doomed planet and possessed incredible powers, but that's pretty much where their similarities end.
Goku was primarily inspired by the Monkey King Sun Wukong from the Chinese novel Journey to the West. If you have any interest in Asian culture, I highly recommend reading it. It's inspired far more tn just Dragon Ball.
Throw a stone at a shelf of anime, and odds are it hits something inspired by Journey to the West. Anyway, Toriyama was smart and knew that fighting is awesome, so Dragon Ball took off like a rocket. Sooner than you can say power levels are bullshit, Dragon Ball became a hit anime and then came to America.
Literally making its own journey to the West. And forever changing the childhoods of many. Dragon Ball Z became the gateway anime to many Westerners. However, since prior anime had very little success overseas due to the differences between Japanese and American cultures, the companies responsible for importing DBZ understandably feared Goku's character might seem a bit selfish and heartless to a Western audience.
Their solution? Turn Goku into Superman.
This decision resulted in some strange mistranslations, such as labeling Goku's father as a brilliant scientist.
Yeah, I don't see it.
As well as perhaps Goku's most famous line, which many argue actually conflicts with his true character.
I am the hope of the universe. I am protector of the innocent. I am the light in the darkness. I am truth. Allied to good, nightmare to you.
And this is where it all began. The nerd debates, the internet wars, East versus West, which hometown hero would triumph in a brutal fight to the end.
In 2002, Wizards Magazine delivered an answer.
Quem ganhou foi o, se não me engano, foi o Superman. Vamos ver agora.
They deduced Goku would win, stating that Superman would die to a fall from the moon to the Earth.
A decade later, the website Outskirts Battledome launched, dedicated to answering versus matches. This time, Superman claimed victory. However, the chaotic debate careened out of control and eventually became banned forever.
The arguments only grew. The internet needed a solid answer.
That's where we came in.
However, since January 2012, Goku and Superman have continued their adventures. Superman gained an all-new ability called the Super Flare, which jettisons all the solar energy stored in his body, essentially turning him into a solar bomb. However, it leaves him completely drained of his powers for the next 24 hours. As such, he will only use the Super Flare as an ultimate last resort.
Goku attained a new legendary form called Super Saiyan God, despite being a
A última batalha que teve, eles tipo assim, ainda não tinham o Super Saiyajin Deus e o Super Saiyajin Blue, e nem o instinto superior, e nem tinha esse novo poder do Superman. Aí agora tem, vamos ver agora.
Temporary boost, Goku's body absorbed the godly power, essentially making it his new base form. Then, after mixing its power with his Super Saiyan ability, he became a Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan! Oh, come on! There had to have been a better name. Ultra Saiyan, Master Saiyan, Super Ultra combo with Prime Saiyan, anything but that mouthful!
These new powers have naturally rekindled the...
Tem que ver o ano do vídeo. Pra ver se vai ter o instinto superior, né, velho? Se tiver instinto superior, fudeu pro Superman.
Ultimate debate. Is this godly Goku powerful enough to defeat Superman? Or will this just be a repeat of the past?
Well, let's end this debate once and for all. It's time for the rematch of Legends.
It's time for a dance battle!
Fudeu, vai ter que ter outro. Vai ter que ter outra, né? Eles não falaram do instinto superior. E pediu pra ressuscitar o Goku.
Hey, Superman!
Son Goku, I've been expecting you.
Ready for a rematch? Forward!
This stops here! I'm impressed. I actually felt that.
You haven't seen anything yet.
Neither have you. With every step, an earthquake. With every breath, I could create a hurricane. This is my burden. Be thankful it is not yours.
Don't get ahead of yourself, buddy. You're not the only one with that kind of power.
Blue hair? I've seen worse. Out of my way! Take this! You can take it, can't you? You're too strong for your own good! Out of my way!
Get off our planet!
This stops here!
All right. Have you had your fun? I would prefer we don't accidentally destroy the Earth a second time.
No, I will never back down from a fight.
Stop it! This is over! I'm sorry.
o cérebro dele.
I believe this is the part where I say, I told you so.
But King Kai, I don't understand.
You can't beat him.
Sure I can. I'll just train harder than ever.
No, Goku. You can overcome any limit put in front of you, but his power has no limit. Even if you somehow found the power to surpass him, you wouldn't have anything left to aspire to. Do you truly want that?
Nah, sounds boring. Oops. King Kai, do you have anything to eat?
Goku, I'm trying to be serious here.
What? My stomach has limits too, you know.
KO! Whoa! Torches and pitchforks down! Before you start raging, please hear us out on this one, alright?
Goku is incredibly powerful, a skilled warrior, and a great character. But Superman is on a completely different level, one which really doesn't belong in versus matches like these. Sure, due to the writing style of Dragon Ball, Super Saiyan God Goku's exact limits are difficult to pinpoint. Also, Goku will likely achieve a new form in the future. It's just how Dragon Ball works nowadays. However, none of that is really a factor. Goku will always have limits, while Superman's maximum potential is limitless.
Don't believe us? Well, strap in, boys and girls. Let's look at how Superman breaks reality. One day, Superman was hanging out near Vega, the brightest star in the Lyra constellation.
For the record, that's 25 light years from Earth, or 147 trillion miles.
Naturally, a crisis occurred on Earth, so Superman's photographer buddy Jimmy activated his signal watch, calling for Superman's aid. And Superman arrived in a matter of minutes!
Being a comic book, the time Superman took getting to Earth is unspecified. However, the comic never mentioned or implied any large time lapse, and he arrived as the battle was ending. Even if we seriously lowballed this feat to taking 10 minutes, Superman would be traveling over 800 trillion miles per hour, over 1 million times the speed of light. But more. This episode of Death Battle is brought to you by Go90, the free digital entertainment service featuring TV shows, original series, esports, concerts, live sports, and behind-the-scenes access to some of your favorite musical artists. Watch Go90 free on your phone, tablet, laptop, or cast to your TV. Visit Go90.com or download the app on your iOS or Android device today, and be sure to check out Rooster Teeth's new original series, What Do You Know?, exclusively on Go90. Sometimes an archaeologist needs a bit more than a shovel and brush, especially when they're on the hunt for the most legendary of treasure.
Yeah, if it were that easy, everyone would be doing it. The best treasure hunters are the ones with the brawn to match their brain.
Like Lara Croft, the Tomb Raider.
And Nathan Drake, seeker of the Uncharted. He's Wiz and I'm Boomstick.
And it's our job to analyze their weapons, armor, and skills to find out who would win a death battle. Most people spend their entire lives in pursuit of wealth, status, and power. But Lara Croft was lucky enough to be born into them. However, despite attending the best schools and living in her own mansion, she was missing one crucial thing: adventure.
Man, rich people are always looking for some crazy way to help keep themselves entertained. But if you have a lot of money and you take a lot of trips, it's good odds that one of those trips is bound to go horribly wrong.
And guess what? It did!
Before she was even old enough to order a drink, a crash landing left her stranded in desolation. She had to learn for herself how to adapt and survive for over a week before returning to civilization as a whole new lady.
In whatever Tomb Raider timeline you're looking at, whether it's on an island or the Himalayas, Lara's destined to this life-changing fate.
I'm never getting on a plane with her.
Surprisingly, Lara's experience left her far from traumatized. Instead, she was inspired, hooked by the thrill of perilous adventure. So she struck out on her own, seeking lost treasure across the globe to make a name for herself.
But Lara's no fool, so first she made sure she'd be ready for anything. She tracked down the best teachers she could find to learn her the ways of stealth, survival, and martial arts.
She became proficient in numerous types of firearms, and her martial art of choice appears very reminiscent to kickboxing. She can even fight while blindfolded.
So she's basically Batman, who treasure hunts with guns. Speaking of which, Lara is famous for her trademark dual Heckler and Koch pistols. And I'm not talking about the things under her sweater, but she's also skilled with shotguns, assault rifles, submachine guns, even grenades. And she uses them to take down everything from armed thugs to T-Rexes.
Lara is also skilled with a competition compound bow, perfect for stealth kills.
And she's got enough trick arrows to make Green Arrow proud. She's got fire arrows, poison arrows, explosive tipped arrows, and even rope arrows for crossing gaps or grappling things. And while her climbing axe is supposed to be used for scaling up cliffs, you can imagine what the thing does to a human skull. Oh wait, you don't have to. Watch. Lovely.
Gruesome murder aside, Lara's extensive training paid off in big ways. She's discovered the legendary blade Excalibur, the Philosopher's Stone, the Ark of the Covenant, Thor's hammer Mjolnir, and even Bigfoot, whom she also promptly killed.
Suck it, Sasquatch. She survived dinosaurs, the Kraken, a Chinese dragon, and she even found the long-lost Led Zeppelin song Stairway to Heaven.
What? No, she found a literal stairway to heaven.
Really? Holy shit!
For a 132-pound woman, she's surprisingly strong. She's held up a heavy gate for 36 straight seconds while drowning. She also regularly pushes around enormous boulders, like the giant blocks in the Pyramid of Giza. This makes her easily strong enough to, say, punch a man through a wooden beam.
Lara's also a crack shot. She can precisely tag multiple targets in less than a second, even if they're button-sized bolts or kunai flying through the air.
She's skilled enough to infiltrate and escape Area 51. She's tenacious enough to take a bullet in the heat of battle and keep fighting. And she's tough enough to dive off a 250-foot cliff into water with no injury whatsoever. The highest documented dive ever recorded is 193 feet. But unlike Lara, this driver underwent weeks of preparation and still broke his collarbone.
Hell, this girl can survive almost anything. When she was younger, she got impaled by a rusty metal spike and was still able to complete an entire adventure while in constant pain.
She wasn't even able to properly treat it. She had to cauterize it with a burning arrow tip.
Damn, that's hardcore. I think I found my next ex-wife. And then there was that one time she threw her climbing axe at a helicopter and it just exploded.
Yeah, the only logical explanation being she threw the axe into the chopper's air intake, shredded its internals, which caused a spark that reached its gas tank.
She made the helicopter explode with nothing but an axe. That girl's got one hell of an arm.
I think we can all agree Lara is a badass, but she thinks so too, and can get a bit reckless.
If she gets too full of it, she could always find herself at the wrong end of a tree branch, crushed by boulders, mauled by wolves, shot in the head, stabbed through the face, all sorts of horrific fatal mistakes.
Even knowing that, the risk doesn't keep her from any of her bewildering adventures.
Don't you think you've seen enough?
Sic Parvis Magna. To most people, these words hold little meaning, but for globetrotting explorer Nathan Drake, it's his life motto. Greatness from small beginnings.
And beginnings don't get much smaller than his. Little Nate spent half his childhood in a boys' home, where he was raised by nuns, picked on by bullies, and pretty much just hated on for every second of his life.
Nathan found solace in his fascination with history, particularly the explorer who found El Dorado, Sir Francis Drake. And like his idol, Nathan dreamed of one day escaping the orphanage to go on treasure hunts of his own.
And he did, with his big brother Sam. The treasure? They're dead mom's old journals about Mr. Drake himself. Turns out they were in some old lady's house, so they broke in, she called the cops, and then immediately died of a heart attack.
Obviously not wanting to be caught trespassing and standing over a dead woman when the police arrived, Nathan began a life on the run.
Talk about shitty luck. Man, all he wanted was a book.
Fortunately, Nathan seemed born for the treasure hunter's life. He's exceptionally athletic, has encyclopedic historical knowledge, and can find a way out of almost any bad situation with his quick wit.
He'd make sure that everyone would remember the name Nathan Drake.
After several solo adventures, Nathan eventually teamed up with Victor Sullivan, a former Navy officer turned expert con artist. Sully taught Nathan the ways of combat, both with his fists and with firearms.
Good thing too, because it seems like everybody out there wants to take a shot at Nate. he almost always has a .45 Defender or 9mm pistol on hand, as well as a couple grenades. Nate can rack up the body count with just about any weapon he touches, including machine guns, shotguns, grenade launchers, and sniper rifles. Hey, when there's a literal army of bad guys out to kill you, you gotta become a one-man army yourself.
Ready for anything, Nathan set out to follow in his idol's footsteps, and then some. He's discovered 5 lost civilizations, stopped multiple world-ending threats, and even unlocked the secret of El Dorado like Sir Francis Drake before him.
Yeah, turns out it's not a city of gold, just a dead guy that turns people into zombies. Didn't see that one coming. Anyway, Nate wouldn't have done any of those things if he weren't physically fit for the job. He's strong enough to move boulders twice his size and hold up a 4-ton gate for 4 seconds. He can climb huge cliffs with nothing but his fingertips and constantly jumps humongous gaps without needing a running start.
The standing broad jump world record is 12 feet and 3 inches. In this instance, Nathan Drake was able to make a 19-foot jump from a standstill. 19 feet! And he's always clearing similar jumps throughout his adventures.
Nate's got hops, but he's also got an iron hide. The dude is constantly falling dozens of feet and just shaking it off. Like that time he did a 40-foot belly flop and got right back up like it was nothing. That could kill a normal guy.
Nathan Drake is nothing if not determined. When he found himself cornered on a train and bleeding out from a bullet wound, his solution was to simply blow the whole thing to oblivion.
What a convenient pile of propane tanks.
But of course, he survived the crash and even climbed to safety, despite having no way of knowing he'd get out of this whole mess alive at all.
On top of all that, look what he's wearing! It's freezing up there!
Actually, explosions generally seem to be his exit of choice, like when he blew up a cargo plane while flying over Saudi Arabia.
After surviving the trip to the ground, he wandered the desert for 2 straight days with 0 food or water. But even with all that, when he found a bunch of mercenaries who wanted to kill him, he was still able to fight them off. How is this guy real? What kind of deal did he make with Satan? Because he should know that that stuff comes with a terrible price. Believe me.
All of this just proves how careless and haphazard Nathan really is. This man rarely, if ever, has a plan for anything at any point. Nearly every moment of his life, whether he's in or out of danger, Nathan's philosophy insists that he simply roll with whatever punches come his way. When it comes down to it, much of his survivability can be chalked up to an abundance of good luck.
And also his incredible knack for improvising and adapting. Lucky or not, hundreds, if not thousands of bad guys have tried to beat him to some treasure and lost. It's good odds that if you go up against Nathan Drake, you're not just gonna lose that treasure, you're gonna lose your life.
What the hell did you do back there?
You know, save the world.
Alright, the combatants are set. Let's end this debate once and for all.
But first, I'm gonna tell you how to save your relationship. Valentine's Day is rapidly approaching, and you're probably still looking for a gift for your significant other or love interest. Or maybe you're like me and want a festive way to deliver.
Damn, it's cold up here. Okay, let's try... Gotcha.
Stop! Turn around. Slowly.
Ah, crap. Hey there. I'm guessing the whole finders keepers rule isn't gonna apply.
Cut the chit-chat. The Grail's coming with me. Either walk away or die right here. Choose wisely.
Okay, Missy. First rule about me. I don't walk away. It never fails. I get to the gold at the end of the rainbow and somebody tries to kill me. Not a scratch.
Do you know what you've done?
That's probably not good. Okay, that's definitely not good.
Sorry, have to do what I have to do.
Ah, crap.
Nossa!
Not a scratch.
Caralho!
KO! Oh, nice shot! Told you she had a good arm.
Lara and Nathan have both displayed impressive feats of strength, durability, agility, and weapon skills, but Lara tended to have the edge in every category.
Both of them were way stronger than you'd think. Nathan shoved a boulder large enough to weigh 20 tons. That means he literally had the strength of 10 men.
But in Lara's case, she moved several limestone blocks used in the Great Pyramids. Not only did she move them much farther distances than Nathan, but given their size and makeup, these blocks...
Porra. Tá foda, velho. Calma aí que agora jogar um cadinho aqui pra encerrar essa live aí que jogar um Splinter Cellzinho. Porra, velho, mas caralho, que sorte, hein? Que ela deu, velho. Que sorte, velho. Ele não morre de explosão, mas morre com uma hélice enfiada no bucho dele. Tá iniciando. Porra, de novo essa porra. Caralho. Partiu. Porra, né, velho? Mas eu ganhei. Falei que ela ia ganhar, Lara. Acertei. GG. Esse é o Sam Fisher. Fodão também. Tá no difícil, né? Tá merda. Tá, mas vamos parar dessa porra.
Attention all personnel. The mess hall is now closed until further notice. All personnel are reminded that non-essential use of staff vehicles is forbidden. Anyone found using field-rated vehicles for private purposes will be subject to formal discipline.
All units. Let's take a walk.
Attention, attention. The weapons drill has been postponed until 800 hours. Repeat, the weapons drill has been postponed.
Se eu apostar foi na hora que eu disse que eu vou apostar. É mais a palpite, velho. Você vem.
What do we got? Nothing special. Just here for 8 hours to shut eye and then go back.
All personnel. The ordnance inventory is now complete.
That's him in the power room. You didn't like the
Que bosta. Só de eu pensar em apostar eu perco. Porra, foda.
Attention all personnel. The mess hall is now closed until further notice.
Espero que ele caça daqui.
All personnel are reminded that non-essential use of staff vehicles is forbidden. Anyone found using field-rated vehicles for private purposes will be subject to formal discipline.
Don't worry about me. I'll turn the fucking lights on myself.
Attention, attention. The weapons drill has been postponed until 800 hours. Repeat, the weapons drill has been postponed.
Só tentando caçar perca a porta.
All personnel. The ordnance inventory is now complete.
Down!
Ah, vai se fuder.
Not bad.
Nice job. Now, my car is parked just outside the gate off the main farm, but as things stand, you won't get far.
What haven't you told me?
There's a satellite dish on site with an uplink to a private spy. Use some C4 to take it out.
I thought your car was clean.
It is. But if they get a visual lock on you from the sat, it won't matter.
Why don't you go see if there's anything else I forgot to mention?
Quiet it down. Stay alert. Report in if you run across anything else. I'm gonna find you, man. Go! Who's there? Nobody escapes from our airfield, Victor! Go, go, go! Over here, Iron! I got something for you. You won't leave this airfield alive, Victor! You have to fall for that? Damn it! Stop it! Him! I'll cover you! I'm gonna get him inside the man! Cover me! He's gone! Everybody keep your eyes open! God damn! You should have stayed with the lady! That man, Fisher!
Sometimes you just have to do things the hard way. Grim, the dish is taken care of.
Then let's get you out of here. My car is outside the gate. All the pursuit...
Attention, attention, all personnel! There is an escaped prisoner inside the compound. He is to be considered armed and dangerous. Report to your security positions immediately. You are cleared to use deadly force. The prisoner is still at large. Repeat, the prisoner is still at large. Warning, the prisoner has had extensive combat training. He is armed and extremely dangerous.
Grim, the dish is taken care of.
Then let's get you out of here. My car is outside the gate. All the pursuit vehicles are inside. This isn't an accident.
Attention, attention, all personnel! There is an escaped prisoner inside the compound. He
Hit you
He is
harder.
to be considered armed and dangerous. Report to your security positions immediately. You are clear to use deadly force.
Motherfucker! Like I'm out over with, bitch!
The prisoner is still at large. Repeat, the prisoner is still at large.
Cover me! I'm gonna get this asshole! Never bring up! You hear me? Go, go, go!
Warning, the prisoner has had extensive combat training. He is armed and extremely dangerous.
Grim, the dish is taken care of.
Then let's get you out of here. My car is outside the gate. All the pursuit vehicles are inside.
Attention, attention, all personnel. There is an escaped prisoner inside the compound.
Well
He
done.
is to be considered armed and
Hit you
dangerous.
harder.
Report to your security positions immediately. You are clear to use deadly force. The prisoner is still at large.
Grim, the dish is taken care of.
Then let's get you out of here. My car is outside the gate. All the pursuit vehicles are inside.
Attention, attention, all personnel. There is an escaped prisoner inside the compound.
Well
He is to
done.
be considered armed and
Hit you
dangerous.
harder.
Report to your security positions immediately. You are clear to use deadly force. The prisoner is still at large. Repeat, the prisoner is still at large. Warning, the prisoner has had extensive combat training. He is armed and extremely dangerous.
Nice try, asshole, but it ain't gonna work! Go, go, go! The longer I gotta look for you, the better I'm gonna get! Put a bullet in him! Hiding? Escaping? Fleeing? You're a pussy! Where'd he go? What'd the lady say to you, Fisher? Holy crap! Motherfuck! Close. I can feel it. Heads up, people. Looks like Fisher's having fun on our airfield. Whoa, what the? Is that supposed to scare me? Please. You're just this guy's trying to pull some tricks on us. Stay alert, people. I'm on the way. Did you see that? Is that him? I don't got time for bullshit games, asshole. Come out. Stay cool. He's here somewhere. Come on, little girl! Show your ass to the pilots! Son of a bitch! Fuck!
Sam, bad news. Sarah's fine, but but I have to push back the call I promised you.
Stop playing games and don't call me again unless you've got my daughter on the line. Vic, it's Sam. I'm in town and could use a little help.
If you're asking for help, we better do this face to face. And what the hell's going on back there?
I thought you'd recognize the sound. Remind you of anything?
Yeah. I'm Frank.
Yo, Sam, how's your little girl?
She's doing fine. I got a picture from her in the mail. I think her mom helped her draw.
Nice. My kids don't draw me pictures or write or anything.
They don't write because you can't read, man.
Lock it up. But when I get out of here...
You're going to kindergarten.
You know, I hear they got entrance exams at kindergarten now, Sam. I don't know if Vic's gonna make it in.
Down! Everybody down! Look out! Don't move!
Sam trusted me because of what we'd been through together in the Gulf. That's why he called me after Third Echelon did their little number on him. He needed someone to watch his back. I was the only one who could.
Key, this is Wofford Base. We've got a UAV showing 2 men down, your squad leader missing, and presumed
Porra, velho. Vou encerrar a live aqui, velho. Já deu já. GG, velho. Beijos.